Sweetheart, before I tell you what happened that December, I want you to promise me something. If anything like this ever happens in your family, don't ignore the small things. Small things grow teeth faster than wolves. Because the night everything changed, I realized the truth. Sometimes the person who smiles at you across the holiday dinner table is the same person who prayed for your seat to stay empty. I never understood that until I heard what my daughter-in-law said about me. And I wasn't supposed to hear it. It was snowing that evening, soft flakes, the kind that hushed the whole world. And I was sitting in the hallway outside their kitchen, wrapping little gifts for the grandchildren. I remember tapping the bow onto a box when her voice rose, sharp enough to slice through the door. I don't want her here for Christmas, Mark. Not this year. Maybe not in a year. Your mother brings problems. Problems? Me? I felt my heart shrink like it wanted to hide under my ribs. I leaned closer, breath stuck in my throat. She doesn't belong in this house, my daughter-in-law whispered. Not after what she did. What I did. My hands went cold. I hadn't done anything except exist. And then she said it again, slow, firm, final. Your mother is not welcome here for Christmas. Sweetheart, that shattered me in a way I can't describe. But what happened the next day? God help me, it was a kind of shock no mother is prepared for. Before I tell you that part, let me say this. I know I look old, my hair silver as frost, my hands soft and wrinkled like dried leaves, but I remember things. I remember pain. I remember betrayal. And most of all, I remember danger. Danger comes quietly. Whispers first. Footsteps second. Truth last. And Christmas. Christmas brought the truth. I sat there that night, alone in my little room, trying to understand why she hated me. I kept replaying old moments, looking for clues. Had I offended her? Overstepped? Hugged her too long? Cooked something she didn't like? Worn the wrong shoes? Sometimes grandmas annoy people simply by breathing too loudly. But her voice, the way she said it, it wasn't annoyance. It was fear. Like she knew some secret about me that I didn't know about myself. And sweetheart, let me ask you something. Just you and me, heart to heart. Have you ever felt someone close to you hiding something, but you can't figure out what it is? Something you can almost see, like a shadow in the corner? I felt that shadow around her that night. The next morning, the sky was a pale gray, like God forgot to color it. My son Mark knocked on my door, his forehead tight with worry lines. Mom, can we talk? And I knew. The conversation was coming. The one every mother fears. But instead of telling me to stay away for Christmas, he sat on the bed next to me, and he started crying. My strong son. My brave boy. The one who used to run into the woods without fear and bring me back acorns like treasures. Mom, something's wrong, he whispered. Really wrong. His hands were shaking so badly, he had to press them between his knees. I need you, he said. I need you more than ever. I looked into his eyes, those same warm brown eyes he had as a child, and I saw panic swirling like smoke. Then he told me, Tara's been lying, he whispered, about a lot of things. Money, people, where she goes at night. And last week, someone followed us home. My breath froze inside my lungs. She won't let me look at her phone, he went on. She keeps leaving the house at the same time every night. And when I ask her about it, she gets angry. Mom, yesterday she asked me if we could move. Somewhere far. Away from everyone we know. His eyes lifted to mine like a child hiding from thunder. And she said if you were around, we wouldn't be safe. Me? Unsafe? My hands trembled. Then he told me something worse, something I still hear when I try to sleep. She told me, you're the reason someone's been watching our house. I felt a chill go up my spine. Someone watching? Who? And why? Mark covered his face like he was ashamed. I don't know what to believe anymore, he whispered. I don't know who she's talking to or what she's gotten involved in, or why she suddenly doesn't want you near us. But Mom, I don't think this is about Christmas. I think she's scared of something. Or someone. I held his hand. Look at me, sweetheart, I said softly. I will never be the reason someone watches your house. His voice broke. I know, Mom. I know. But she's convinced. And tonight she told me she has proof. She says she can show me something. Proof. Of what? And that's when he said the words that changed everything. She said she has evidence that you've been hiding a secret from us. A secret that could ruin all of us. My heart stopped. A secret? Sweetheart, I'm old but not wicked. And I have no secrets big enough to ruin a family. At least, I thought I didn't. But when you're old and the past stretches long behind you, sometimes a piece of it sneaks up, wearing new clothes. Mark squeezed my hand. She wants to show me tonight, he whispered. But Mom, she told me that after I see it, things will never be the same. And just like that, my whole world tilted. I felt something I hadn't felt in decades. Fear. Real bone-deep fear. Not of the dark. Not of death. But of being accused of something I didn't do. Something I couldn't even imagine. And sweetheart, that was only the beginning. Because the next day, the day she promised to show my son the proof, nobody expected what happened. Not even me. And I was the one who found it. Sweetheart, if you're still with me, stay close. Don't blink. Don't look away. This story doesn't get safer from here. But before we continue, can you promise me you'd stay with me till the end, no matter how dark it gets? Because chapter 2 is where the shock begins. Sweetheart, before I tell you what happened that morning, I need you to understand something about old women like me. We don't wake up expecting danger. We wake up expecting aches in our knees and maybe a cup of hot tea that tastes a little weaker than yesterday. But that day, danger woke up before I did. I opened my eyes to a strange silence. Not the peaceful kind, the kind that feels like a held breath. For some reason, the house felt colder. The windows were fogged over, the air dense and heavy, as if someone had been walking through the rooms all night whispering secrets into the walls. I wrapped my shawl around my shoulders and stepped into the hallway, listening carefully. I didn't hear my son. I didn't hear my daughter-in-law. But I smelled something metallic, faint, sharp, like the air after lightning strikes. I walked toward the kitchen slowly, each step creaking under me like it was warning me to turn back. And there, lying on the counter, was something I wasn't supposed to see. A phone. Not mine. Not my son's. Her phone. Terrace. Unlocked. And lit up. Sweetheart, I don't believe in accidents that big. My old fingers trembled as I reached for it. Why would she leave her phone unlocked? Why would she leave it alone? She guarded that thing like a dragon guards gold. I tapped the screen. Messages were open. Not from Mark. Not from friends. From someone saved under a single letter. D. The first message at the top made my stomach twist. She's still in the house. The old woman. You said she'd be gone by now. Sweetheart, I nearly dropped the phone. My ears started ringing so loud I could barely hear my own breath. I scrolled. Make sure she's out before the 24th. You know what happens if she talks. Talks? Me? What did they think I knew? Another message. I saw her watching yesterday. She knows. Get rid of her without making Mark suspicious. My legs went numb. The room blurred. My heart hammered against my ribs like it wanted to break out. Get rid of me? For what? What could an old woman possibly know? Then one more message came in. Right then, as I held the phone, vibrating violently in my hand. Did you show him the picture? Once he sees it, he won't let her back in his life. You need to move fast. A picture. Proof. Something she was going to use to destroy me. I felt sick. Not just hurt, frightened. I put the phone down as quietly as I picked it up. My hands were ice. My knees felt weak. That's when I heard footsteps behind me. Slow. Heavy. Deliberate. I turned, and there she was. Standing in the doorway. Her hair messy, eyes dark like she hadn't slept at all. She didn't say a word at first. She just stared at me, staring through me like she already knew I'd read her messages and was deciding what to do about it. Morning, she said, her voice too calm, too soft, too dangerous. I tried to smile, but my lips felt wooden. Good morning, I whispered. She stepped farther into the room, eyes flicking toward the phone on the counter like a radar catching movement. Did you see anything? She asked. Sweetheart, I've lived long enough to know when someone is hunting for a lie. I was just making tea, I answered, my voice so thin it barely made it into the air. She stared at me for 5 full seconds. 5 very long seconds. Then something changed in her face, subtle, quick, but dark. She smiled. Not kindly. Not warmly. A smile like she was confirming something. Well, she said, her voice light. Today is going to be important. Very important. Mark and I have something to show you later. There it was again. The proof. The thing she claimed I'd been hiding. The thing that would ruin us all. I tried to speak but my throat tightened. What is it you want to show me? She grabbed a mug too casually. You'll see, she whispered. It will change everything. Then she walked out of the kitchen, leaving a cold trail behind her. Sweetheart. The moment she left, my hands wouldn't stop shaking. My heart was beating so fast I worried it might tear right through my chest. I sat down at the table to calm myself, but all I could think about were those messages. Get rid of her. She knows too much. Move fast. Before the 24th. The 24th. Christmas Eve. Something was planned for that night. Something big. Something dangerous. And whatever it was, she needed me gone before it happened. I knew I had to tell Mark. He needed to see those messages, needed to know the truth before she twisted it into something else. But as I reached for the phone again, it vibrated. A new message came through. Not from Dee, but from Mark. Mom, don't leave the house today. Please. Just trust me. Sweetheart, that message terrified me more than the others. Why would my own son tell me to stay inside? Why was everyone speaking in riddles? Why did it feel like I was the only one who didn't know what was coming? I typed back slowly. Are you okay? His reply came instantly. I will be. After tonight. After tonight. My hands shook harder. Did he know? Was he part of it? No. No, my son would never hurt me. He loved me since the day he first grabbed my finger and refused to let go. But sweetheart, love doesn't always see danger clearly. I stood from the table, heart pounding. I needed answers. I needed to protect myself. But from what? From whom? And then, right when I was about to walk to my room to think, something slid under the front door. A small envelope. No name. No writing. Just an envelope. I froze. My breath hitched. Slowly I walked toward it. My fingers trembled as I picked it up. The paper was cold, too cold for something that had just touched the inside of a warm house. I opened it. Inside was a single photograph. When my eyes focused on it, my whole body went numb. The picture trembled in my hand as the truth hit me like cold water to the face. Sweetheart, it was me. Me standing in someone's backyard. At night. Looking straight into a window. A window I had never seen before. And worse, I was wearing clothes I didn't own. I stared at that picture in horror. Someone had created it. Manipulated it. Framed me. But why? My hand shook so violently the picture fluttered like a moth in a storm. Someone wanted me gone. Someone wanted me blamed. And sweetheart, someone had gone through a lot of trouble to make it happen. But the worst part? On the back of the photo, written in sharp black ink, were 4 words. This is only beginning. Sweetheart. Chapter 3 is where everything starts unraveling. Where the truth begins to crawl out of the shadows. Sweetheart, when I first saw that photograph, I felt something inside me go very still. Not calm. Not numb. Just still. Like my soul froze mid-breath. Because there is nothing more terrifying than seeing yourself in a place you've never been. Doing something you would never do. It makes you question your own memory, your own sanity, your own past. And at my age, that's the deepest cut. People already assume your mind is fading. That your memories mix and melt like snowflakes on a window. But sweetheart, I know myself. I know where I've been. And I have never stood outside anyone's house in the middle of the night. I turned the photo over again, reading that message. This is only beginning. Not the beginning. Not the beginning of something. Just beginning. As if the person who wrote it wasn't threatening me but warning me. My fingers went cold around the edges of the picture. And then I heard footsteps above me, quick, light, hurried. Her footsteps. My daughter-in-law pacing upstairs. I slipped the photograph into the pocket of my sweater and quietly moved down the hallway, away from the front door. I didn't want her to see me with it. Not yet. Not until I understood what game she was playing. Because sweetheart, someone had set their board. And I was the piece they were trying to move. I reached my room and closed the door gently. My hands were shaking so badly I had to sit down on the bed. My heart thumped painfully, but not with fear this time. With anger. I whispered to myself, no, you don't get to rewrite my life and call it truth. I've lived too long to be erased by a photograph. But sweetheart, fear and anger don't mix well. They make a dangerous kind of courage, the type that makes you step into shadows you should walk away from. I pulled the photograph back out and studied it as closely as my old eyes allowed. The woman in it, she was me, yes. The tilt of the chin, the silver hair, the long coat like the one Mark bought me last winter. But the face looked wrong. Not wrong in a big way. Wrong in a small way, the kind most people wouldn't notice. The smile lines were too deep. The eyebrows too sharp. The shadows too unnatural. It wasn't a picture. It was a fabrication. And someone wanted my son to see it. I could almost hear Tara's voice in my head. Once he sees it, he won't let her back in his life. I shivered. I knew what I had to do. I had to show Mark this photo before she got to him. Before she twisted the truth. Before she convinced him that his mother, the woman who raised him, was someone to fear. But sweetheart, fate does not make things that simple. When I stepped out of my room, ready to find my son, I heard their voices upstairs. Tara's first, low and sharp like a blade dragged across stone. You need to trust me, Mark. Your mother isn't who she pretends to be. And my son's voice, tired, heavy. Tara, please. Don't do this again. I crept up the steps, careful not to let them creak under my weight. I stood on the landing, hidden just enough to hear. You don't understand, she insisted. She's been lying. For years. You just never saw it. What lie? Mark demanded, exasperation clear in his tone. What could she possibly be hiding? There was a long pause. Then she said something that stopped my heart cold. You don't know her past. You don't know who she used to be. My past? Sweetheart, my past is quiet, ordinary, filled with laundry and laughter, scraped knees and Sunday prayers. There was no used to be beyond a young mother trying to raise a good man. But Tara's voice carried something else. Something like triumph. I have proof, she whispered. Tonight you'll see it. Mark didn't respond right away. When he finally spoke, his voice was brittle. I don't want to see anything that will hurt her. But she snapped back. You already have. Sweetheart, it felt like someone pressed their cold fingers against the back of my neck. I stepped back, heart pounding. What had he already seen? What had she shown him? I needed answers, and I needed them fast. But before I could move, my foot brushed against something on the floor. Something small. Something round. It rolled forward. A marble. A children's marble. Except there were no children upstairs. I picked it up and realized it wasn't a marble at all. It was a tiny black sphere. A camera lens. A piece of a camera. I felt the air leave my lungs. Someone was watching us. Not secretly listening. Not quietly observing. Watching. Recording. I clutched the tiny device in my palm, my heartbeat hammering so loudly I thought it might echo through the walls. Had she planted this? Had someone else? Was this what she meant when she said someone was watching the house? My hand shook as I closed my fist around it. And then from down the hallway I heard the softest click. The sound of a door opening. I looked up. Tara stood there staring at me. Her eyes dropped to my hand, the hand clenched around the lens piece. Her smile didn't reach her eyes. What are you doing upstairs? She asked slowly. I was looking for Mark, I whispered. Her gaze sharpened. Why? Sweetheart. I knew then that she knew. She knew I'd found something. She knew I was getting close. And she wasn't going to let me dig any further. She stepped toward me, each step controlled, quiet, predatory. You shouldn't wander around, she murmured. Not today. Not before tonight. My throat tightened. What happens tonight? I asked softly. She leaned in, her voice barely more than breath. The truth, she whispered. The truth comes out. And then she walked past me, down the stairs, leaving the scent of her perfume lingering like smoke after a fire. I stood frozen, staring at the lens piece. Someone had hidden cameras. Someone had staged photos. Someone had been building a story. One meant to destroy me. Sweetheart. Before I tell you what happened next, let me ask you something. If someone you trusted, someone in your own family, showed you proof that your mother was dangerous, would you believe it? Be honest. As chapter 4. That's when my son had to choose. Sweetheart, when I tell you that the hours before sunset felt longer than the years of my life, I am not exaggerating. Every tick of the clock echoed like a warning. Every shadow in the house stretched just a little too far. Every sound felt like someone breathing behind my shoulder. I held that tiny broken camera lens in my hand for so long my palm warmed it. I kept turning it, inspecting it, wondering how long it had been in my home, and what it had seen. Someone had been watching me. Someone had watched us all. But the question that twisted inside me like a knife was simple. Who was behind it? And why was Tara working with them? By late afternoon, the house grew dim and strangely quiet. I could hear the wind scratching against the windows. I could hear the staircase pop and sigh like it was tired of holding secrets. But the loudest sound was my own heartbeat. I had to talk to my son. I had to show him the photo, the lens, everything before she sunk her claws into his mind. So I went looking for him. I found him outside, sitting on the back steps with his head in his hands. The cold had reddened his cheeks, but he didn't seem to notice. He looked like a man standing at the edge of a cliff, unsure whether he'd fall or jump. "Sweetheart," I whispered, stepping onto the wooden porch. "Can I sit with you?" He didn't look at me at first. He nodded slowly, and I sat beside him. The cold boards creaked beneath our weight. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then he sighed, heavy and pained. "Mom," he murmured, "I don't know what to believe anymore." I looked at him, really looked. He wasn't angry. He wasn't doubtful. He was scared. "Tell me what she showed you," I whispered. My voice shook, but I kept it steady enough to sound strong. He swallowed hard. Then he reached into his coat pocket. "Pictures," he said softly. "Videos. Things she said she found." My stomach tightened. The picture I found earlier flashed through my mind. "What kind of things?" I whispered. He ran his hands through his hair, trembling. "She said you were following people, watching houses at night, taking things that didn't belong to you. She said you might not remember, because of your age." Sweetheart, my heart cracked. Old age, the easiest weapon to use against a woman like me. "And you believe her?" I asked, almost too soft to hear. His eyes filled with tears. "I don't want to," he whispered. "But the video, it looks so real, Mom." Video. A video. More than just a picture. Something bigger. Something more dangerous. "I didn't do anything," I said firmly. "I have never done those things. Someone created this. Someone planted it." He looked at me for a long moment, his eyes searching my face like he was trying to read my soul. "Then who?" he whispered. "Who would want to hurt you?" Sweetheart. I didn't have an answer. Not a real one. Only shadows and guesses. But I reached into my sweater pocket and pulled out the photograph I found at the door. "This," I said softly, placing it into his shaking hands, "was slipped under the door this morning." He stared at it, confusion knitting his brow. Then anger. "This isn't you," he said immediately, recognizing the flaws faster than even I had. "Your eyes don't look like this. The lighting is fake. The angle, this is edited." I watched relief flicker across his face. Not fully, but enough. He looked up at me, really looked, and for the first time in days I saw my son again. Not the man twisted by doubt. Not the man stuck between two worlds. My boy. My sweet boy. Then I showed him the broken camera lens. He held it carefully, turning it in his fingers. "Is this from a?" he asked. "A hidden camera," I whispered. He froze. "Mom, where did you find this?" "In the hallway upstairs." He looked toward the house, jaw tightening, eyes narrowing. Someone had crossed a boundary. Someone had invaded our home. And sweetheart, men can forgive a lot, but they don't forgive threats to family. He stood suddenly, fists clenched. "I need to confront her," he said, breath shaking. "I need to ask why she's lying, why she planted all this." But I grabbed his wrist. "No," I whispered urgently. "Not yet. We don't know who she's working with, or what she's planning for tonight. She said something big was happening. Something that would change everything. If you confront her now, she'll twist it. She'll hide the rest of the proof. Or destroy it." He looked torn, like a man trapped between fire and ice. "Then what do we do?" he asked. "Wait," I whispered. "Wait until she shows you everything. Then we'll know what she's been hiding. And why." He swallowed hard, nodding. He trusted me. At least a little. Mom, he said softly, I need you to promise me something. What is it, sweetheart? If things get dangerous tonight, you run. You don't argue. You don't fight. You run. Sweetheart. No mother wants to hear those words from her child. I reached up and cupped his cheek with my wrinkled hand. I won't leave you, I whispered. His eyes glistened. And I won't let anyone hurt you, he replied. We walked back into the house together, silent but connected, bound by fear and love in equal measure. The sun was dipping low now, casting long shadows across the living room. The Christmas lights flickered weakly, like even they sensed the storm coming. We stepped into the kitchen, and there she was, Tara, standing with her coat on, her purse over her shoulder, her hair freshly brushed, her face calm, too calm. Are you both ready? She asked, her voice smooth. It's time. Time for what? Mark asked. She smiled. To show you the truth. Sweetheart. That smile chilled me down to my bones, because something in her eyes said she wasn't just exposing a secret. She was unleashing one, and neither of us were prepared for what she had planned. Baby, I need you to sit close to me now because what I'm about to tell you, it still shakes my bones even after all these years. And believe me, at my age it takes a lot to shake anything in this body. That night, the night after my daughter-in-law told me I wasn't wanted for Christmas, I didn't sleep at all. I lay there staring at the ceiling, feeling something I hadn't felt in decades. A warning. A whisper. A presence. I kept hearing small tapping noises across the hallway floor. Light taps like tiny feet, but the kind that don't belong to any living child. Around 2:37 a.m., the hallway light flickered. And baby, when something flickers in this house, it's never the bulb. Something else. I sat up straight in bed. My heart wasn't just beating, it was crawling up my throat, shaking like a trapped bird. Please don't let it be happening again, I whispered. You know when you talk to yourself but secretly hope something out there hears you too? That's exactly what I did. I reached for my cane, got up slowly, and as soon as my foot hit the floor, treat, the whole floorboard complained under me like it was warning me. Don't go out there. But Grandma is stubborn, baby. When you grow up surviving things people don't even believe in anymore, you learn not to run from shadows. I stepped out into the hallway. The air was cold. Not winter cold, but the kind that feels like it comes from inside the walls. I whispered softly, if someone's here, show yourself. I'm not afraid now. That was a lie. I was terrified. But when you're old, fear feels like an old friend you just haven't seen in a while. Familiar, unwelcome, but not surprising. I walked toward the end of the hallway. Then suddenly, baby, listen carefully. The family portrait on the wall began to tilt. Just by itself. Slowly, gently, like a hand was moving it. A very small hand. When it stopped moving, I saw something behind it. A small folded piece of yellowed paper, stuck between the wall and the frame. My breath froze. I reached up, took it, unfolded it carefully. And baby, I swear to you, it was my daughter's handwriting. My real daughter. The one they all pretend never existed. The one I lost. But the ink. It looked fresh. Like she wrote it yesterday. It said, Mom, don't trust her. I felt my knees weaken. Don't trust who, darling? I whispered into the hallway. And the moment I said that, something ran past me. Fast. Low to the ground. Cold wind brushing my ankle. I dropped the note and grabbed the wall to steady myself. And baby, I heard her voice. My daughter's soft, trembling voice. As if it came from the floorboards. Mom, she lied about me. My hand flew to my mouth. My heart felt like it cracked. Because there was only one woman in that house who had reason to lie about my daughter. My daughter-in-law. The one who told me I wasn't welcome for Christmas. The one who always looked at me like I was a burden. The one who never allowed my son to talk about his sister. I swallowed hard and whispered, Sweetheart, if you're here, give me a sign. Just one. Baby, do you want to know what happened at that exact moment? The hallway lights turned off. All at once. Pitch black. And then, tap, tap, tap. Tiny footsteps began circling me. Fast. Almost playful, but wrong. So wrong. I whispered, Stop, please stop. But the footsteps kept going faster, closer. Until they were right behind me. Breathing. Small, uneven, like a child who had been crying for a long, long time. Then a tiny hand, I swear on my life, touched the back of my sweater. I froze. Grandma. A whisper so close, so real. I felt the warmth of breath on my neck. Grandma, please help me. My whole body trembled. My mouth opened but no sound came out. And then, just as fast as it came, the hand let go. The air shifted. The lights flickered back on. I stood alone. But the yellow note, the one that fell, it was gone. Baby, let me ask you something. If you heard your child's voice after decades, would you think you were dreaming, or would you believe your heart? Even if the whole world calls you crazy? Because my heart wasn't confused. My heart knew exactly whose voice that was. And I knew one thing. Whatever happened to my daughter all those years ago, whatever story my daughter-in-law told everyone, whatever lies were buried in this house, they were about to crawl back out. And this time, they wanted me to see everything. Baby, I need you to sit close to me now because what I'm about to tell you, it still shakes my bones even after all these years. And believe me, at my age it takes a lot to shake anything in this body. That night, the night after my daughter-in-law told me I wasn't wanted for Christmas, I didn't sleep at all. I lay there staring at the ceiling, feeling something I hadn't felt in decades. A warning, a whisper, a presence. I kept hearing small tapping noises across the hallway floor. Light taps like tiny feet, but the kind that don't belong to any living child. Around 2:37 a.m., the hallway light flickered. And baby, when something flickers in this house, it's never the bulb. Something else. I sat up straight in bed. My heart wasn't just beating, it was crawling up my throat, shaking like a trapped bird. Please don't let it be happening again, I whispered. You know when you talk to yourself but secretly hope something out there hears you too? That's exactly what I did. I reached for my cane, got up slowly, and as soon as my foot hit the floor, treat. The whole floorboard complained under me like it was warning me. Don't go out there. But Grandma is stubborn, baby. When you grow up surviving things people don't even believe in anymore, you learn not to run from shadows. I stepped out into the hallway. The air was cold. Not winter cold, but the kind that feels like it comes from inside the walls. I whispered softly, if someone's here, show yourself. I'm not afraid now. That was a lie. I was terrified. But when you're old, fear feels like an old friend you just haven't seen in a while. Familiar, unwelcome, but not surprising. I walked toward the end of the hallway. Then suddenly, baby, listen carefully. The family portrait on the wall began to tilt. Just by itself. Slowly, gently, like a hand was moving it. A very small hand. When it stopped moving, I saw something behind it. A small folded piece of yellowed paper, stuck between the wall and the frame. My breath froze. I reached up, took it, unfolded it carefully. And baby, I swear to you, it was my daughter's handwriting. My real daughter. The one they all pretend never existed. The one I lost. But the ink. It looked fresh. Like she wrote it yesterday. It said, Mom, don't trust her. I felt my knees weaken. Don't trust who, darling? I whispered into the hallway. And the moment I said that, something ran past me. Fast. Low to the ground. Cold wind brushing my ankle. I dropped the note and grabbed the wall to steady myself. And baby, I heard her voice. My daughter's soft, trembling voice. As if it came from the floorboards. Mom, she lied about me. My hand flew to my mouth. My heart felt like it cracked. Because there was only one woman in that house who had reason to lie about my daughter. My daughter-in-law. The one who told me I wasn't welcome for Christmas. The one who always looked at me like I was a burden. The one who never allowed my son to talk about his sister. I swallowed hard and whispered, Sweetheart, if you're here, give me a sign. Just one. Baby, do you want to know what happened at that exact moment? The hallway lights turned off. All at once. Pitch black. And then, tap, tap, tap. Tiny footsteps began circling me. Fast. Almost playful but wrong. So wrong. I whispered, Stop, please stop. But the footsteps kept going faster, closer. Until they were right behind me. Breathing. Small, uneven, like a child who had been crying for a long, long time. Then a tiny hand, I swear on my life, touched the back of my sweater. I froze. Grandma. A whisper so close, so real. I felt the warmth of breath on my neck. Grandma, please help me. My whole body trembled. My mouth opened but no sound came out. And then, just as fast as it came, the hand let go. The air shifted. The lights flickered back on. I stood alone. But the yellow note, the one that fell, it was gone. Baby, let me ask you something. If you heard your child's voice after decades, would you think you were dreaming, or would you believe your heart? Even if the whole world calls you crazy? Because my heart wasn't confused. My heart knew exactly whose voice that was. And I knew one thing. Whatever happened to my daughter all those years ago, whatever story my daughter-in-law told everyone, whatever lies were buried in this house, they were about to crawl back out. And this time, they wanted me to see everything. Baby, what happened next is the reason I never spent another holiday in that house. Not Christmas, not Thanksgiving, not even a simple Sunday dinner. Because when the truth finally came out, it didn't come out quietly. It exploded. My daughter-in-law was still crying in the kitchen, her hands shaking, her breath catching in short, panicked gasps. She kept repeating the same thing over and over again. I didn't mean for it to happen. I didn't mean for it to happen. But baby, guilt has a way of peeling skin off the truth. Layer by layer, piece by piece, until the ugly part finally shows itself. I walked toward the basement door, the one she always kept locked, the one she said was dangerous, the one she never allowed me or my son to open. She saw me moving toward it and gasped. No, no please, don't go down there. But I didn't stop, because the air around me started to shift, cold, still, like the whole house was holding its breath. And baby, that little shadow I saw earlier, it moved again, down the hallway, toward the basement door. I followed, slow, shaky but determined. My daughter-in-law rushed behind me. Please, don't open it. You don't understand. Oh, but I do, I whispered. More than you think. I reached out, touched the door handle, and it was warm. A basement door handle should never be warm. That meant she was down there. My little girl. The child they said accidentally fell. The child they said wandered off. The child everyone blamed me for losing. I turned the handle. It opened easily. My daughter-in-law gasped. It wasn't unlocked before. I kept it locked, it should have been locked. I stepped inside. Baby, I can't even describe that feeling. The air was heavy like grief had its own gravity. A small light bulb flickered above the staircase. And something about that flicker felt familiar. Like the night she disappeared. I took one step down. Then another. My knees were trembling but my heart was marching. Halfway down I heard breathing. Soft, shaky, like a child trying not to cry. Sweetheart. I whispered. Is that you? The breathing paused. Then, tap, 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 tiny feet, moving toward me from the bottom of the stairs. I held the railing so tight my fingers went numb. And then I saw her. Not clearly, not like a solid person, but as a glowing outline. A small body of light standing in the dark. My daughter. My little girl. Her head tilted up toward me. Her little hand lifted. Mom, she whispered. I broke. Tears fell so fast I couldn't even wipe them. My whole body shook. I'm here, I cried. I'm right here, sweetheart. I never stopped looking for you. Behind me, my daughter-in-law let out a strangled cry. She stumbled down a few steps, clutching the wall. I didn't mean to hurt her. She scared me. She wasn't supposed to be there. I just pushed her away. She fell. Oh God. She fell. I panicked. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to do. I turned and stared at her. You let her die, I said, my voice shaking like the walls themselves. She sobbed harder. She was screaming. She was calling for you, but I shut the door. I locked it. I thought she'd stop crying if she realized she couldn't get out. Baby. I thought my heart would stop. My little girl. Crying in the dark. Calling for me. While that woman locked her down here. I felt every bone in my body turn to fire. You didn't just lie, I whispered. You stole the truth. And you let everyone blame me. My daughter-in-law collapsed to her knees. The basement light flickered again. And then, My daughter's glowing figure turned toward her. Slowly. Very slowly. Her tiny voice echoed through the basement. Why didn't you help me? My daughter-in-law screamed. A raw animal scream. She scrambled backward up the stairs, tripping, clawing at the walls. She couldn't breathe, couldn't think, couldn't control her body. And baby. The basement door slammed shut behind her. All on its own. I stayed on the stairs, frozen, watching everything unfold like the past and present were crashing into each other in the same moment. My daughter turned back toward me. Her little hand lifted again. Mom. I waited. I swallowed a sob so heavy it felt like it tore my throat. I know, baby, I whispered. And I'm here now. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry I didn't hear you. Her glow flickered. Soft. Gentle. Almost peaceful. I'm not alone anymore, she whispered. And then, she smiled. For the first time since she died. Her little outline shimmered. Brighter. Warmer. Until it dissolved into a soft golden mist that floated up toward the ceiling. The air warmed. The pressure lifted. The whole house exhaled. I wiped my tears. But baby, not all tears are sad. Sometimes they're a release. Sometimes they're the truth finally coming up for air. I climbed the stairs slowly. When I opened the basement door, my daughter-in-law was sitting on the floor, shaking uncontrollably, staring at the wall like she'd seen the devil himself. She didn't speak. She couldn't. And baby, she never lied again. Not to me. Not to my son. Not to the world. Because the truth had finally spoken for itself. And it came from the small trembling voice of the child everyone thought was gone forever. My child. My little girl. And I'll tell you something. Something I want you to remember forever. Sometimes the dead don't haunt the living. Sometimes they just come back to finish their story.